Okay, so let's start working on that decorator. And what we're going to do is create an app folder where we're going to have the models and the views and the tests for the app creation and testing of the different clients or the user login and password, so to speak, that are going to be accessing our API. So let's do that folder here, app, and then we're going to create a init py so that Python knows that this is a module. And we're going to create a decorators py. Now on the decorators py, we're going to do something that you've seen in the past, which is a decorator. So we start with the functional tools and import wraps. Then we're going to import the request and JSONify from Flask. And now we're going to define this decorator called app required. So we create the regular decorated function with the arguments and keyword arguments. And so the first thing we're going to check is if the request headers, and we're going to call this header an XAppID, kind of like what I mentioned earlier. And if it's none, then we're going to return back an error code 403, which is unauthorized. Then we're going to set this app ID variable to be that XAppID header. And we're going to also get the app secret, which is going to be called XApp secret. And I'm just going to print it out on the logs so that we see that this is currently working. And for this first test, what I'm going to test is that both the app ID is set to Jorge and the app secret is set to my secret. And then if it's not the case, then we're also going to return an error message. Otherwise, we return back the function, which means that the function will continue working from that point on. Perfect. So notice that I'm doing here the app ID and app secret being passed on the headers. Of course, we're going to modify this with a token. This is the wrong way to do it, but I want you guys to see how this potentially works. Okay, so now we're going to go to the pet API file, and we're going to add the decorator here. So we're going to say from app decorators import app required. Okay, and this is a special kind of like a method that Pluggable Views offers, which is you just are able to pass decorators as a list. So we're gonna say decorators equals app required. And this is a really nice, very easy thing that Flask implements for us. So we don't have to use the @ sign here because it wouldn't work, right? It's a class, it's not a function. So Flask gives us this helper method that we can just pass the decorators as a list of decorators. In this case, we're gonna use only one. So let's see what happens when we try to request now all the pets. So let me clear this out and then just put the get all pets endpoint. Now, if I send this, I'm getting a 403, which means that it's working correctly. And if I see the logs, I can see, I guess it didn't print that in there because it, let's see what it's doing. So if it's app ID is none, then it's returning that 403. So we don't get to print the app ID and secret. So that's working fine. But now let's set those headers. I'm not here in here. So see how we have key and value. So here we're gonna say X app ID is, we said Jorge, right? So Jorge, this is like the username. And let's just send that. Let's not send the secret to see what happens. Now, if I send this, I still get a 403, and let's see if the logs say something. Perfect. So see how it's printing the header here, the Jorge, but it's saying none for the app secret. So let's do that again. And this time, let's do the wrong password. So we're gonna say password 123. Again, send it. I get a forbidden, and now I see the 2 in there, but it's still not the right combination. So finally, if we set the right combination, which is my secret, and then send, I get a 200 OK. And if I see the body, I see that the pets are being sent back to me. Perfect. So that's how like the basic authentication works. You know, this is a very good first introduction to how we're gonna set up the API authentication on our pets application.